He's the great Bob Uecker, the Brewers announcer. He joins us on the show. Hi, Bob. How are you?
Dan, how you doing, buddy?
No complaints. How's the statue looking?
Looking tight. A lot tighter than I am. Yeah, it turned out nice. It was a heck of a ceremony, and a couple of your friends were there. Bob Costas, and Dick Ebersol came in, and it turned out to be a nice show. And I'm very honored. Did
you pose for the statue?
Sort of. They were holding me down, and then they pour that molten metal on you, and it was hot. Let me tell you, man, it was hard to do. But I did that, and I told as a matter of fact, we were talking about it at the ceremony. I told the sculptor Brian Maum, I said, "Look, I'm doing this one time when they were doing the measurements." I said, save all this stuff and then send it to the Schrumpke Funeral Home when you're done with it, because I don't want to go through this again.
Did you want a statue of you playing or broadcasting?
Well, either way would have been okay, but where they wanted to put the bat, I don't think would have looked good, because it was where I had it most of my career anyway. But
on your shoulder?
Yeah, I had one cut off of my shoulder, surgery that I had performed in 1963, but... No, you know what? It's just a plain old statue, just me standing and looking around. That's basically what it is.
If I told you 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, they were going to build a statue of you outside of Miller Park, what would you have said?
I don't want to be in it. That was the first thought. I don't want to be inside of it. But I would have thought there was no chance for that happening. It's such a tremendous honor, when I see a statue of Robin Yount there, and Henry Aaron, and then the commissioner of baseball, Bud Selig, is there. And, I've been around here a long time and been in baseball for a long time, but it still doesn't factor into the bottom line that they would put something like that up. And Mark Attanasio, of course, the principal owner, and the Attanasio family, and the Brewers organization in general, to do something like that, it's something that I'm very proud of. My family is proud of, and it was a lot of laughs too, though, Dan. It's for a lot of fun. That was the main part of the ceremony, to have a lot of laughs and a lot of fun.
When did you know you were funny?
In school, when my dad spent more time there than I did. I don't know why, but you know what? I think bottom line is, I always thought that, if somebody looked at me and said, if that guy played in the major leagues, our kid's got a chance, then I thought that was the bottom line. But I enjoy making people laugh, and I do it on the broadcast. But if we have a good game going, I don't mess around that much on the broadcast. I mean, if it's a bad game, and you got to do things to keep people listening, and I think people expect you to do things to be amusing and not making fun of players. I don't ever do that. I don't ever make fun of players, because I know how hard it is to play, and the losing streaks and everything else that goes with it. I know it's not a lot of fun when you're not playing very well, but the Brewers now are right back in the thick of things, in the wild card race, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
We're talking to Bob Uecker, the Brewers announcer, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. But I still think people have this feel when they hear your name, it's from Major League, that's how you do a game. And I tell people, no, if you listen to Bob, you're a baseball fan, you're a professional at what you do. How close was Major League to what you do, let's say, when it's a bad game?
It was pretty close. David Ward and Chris Chesser, who directed and produced it, they let me pretty much do what I wanted, and a lot of it is basically stuff that I do during the game. Again, not making fun of players, and of course I don't curse, and I didn't want to do that in the film either. But I had a script on the floor, Dan, and look at the situation, whatever it was, and then go and do 10 lines, and, they keep one of them. And the lines that they wrote, there was some great lines in there that were written, but the one thing that was fun about it was that they let me kind of do what I wanted. It was fun.
How much of your job is cheerleader?
Oh, I love the Brewers. I'm paid here. I'm born and raised in Milwaukee, and I want the Brewers to win. I'm not a homer to the sense that I don't give credit for good plays with other people. I mean, I do that because, as I said before, I know how hard it is to play baseball. I mean, I played 5 years, and I know how tough it is. And if guys make good plays or guys come up with big hits or they hit a tough pitch, whatever it may be, I give credit where credit is due. But I want the Brewers to win. Bottom line, I want them to win.
You have 14 career home runs.
Yeah.
Can you name all the pitchers? Did you homer off anybody twice?
Well, Gaylord Perry, I hit one off of him. He said it was the worst day of his whole life. Not his baseball life. He said his whole life. Every time I walk into a room and he's there, he stands up and as loud as he can say it, he says, "Here comes the worst day of my life." Sandy Koufax, when I see Sandy, I always apologize to him because I thought that might keep him out of the Hall of Fame.
Wait, you homered off Koufax?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, we needed it. It was an 11-1 game. But Ferguson, Jenkins, I didn't pick any cheap shots, Dan. I took the big boys.
But when you see Koufax, I can't imagine getting in the box against Koufax in the first place. More nervous going on Johnny Carson or facing Sandy Koufax?
Well, I played against left-handers for the most part. When I did play, it was against left-handers, and even for right-handers, Sandy Koufax was no walk in the park, but I happened to look in the Dodger dugout one night, and they were all sitting there in their street clothes when I came to bat. So I said, okay, want to play that? So I took them out. Yeah.
You took Koufax deep. That's pretty impressive. Right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's been a laugh since it happened.
He's not laughing, though, is he?
No, he every time he walks up to me, he gets that little smile. He's such a great guy, and I always go up and shake his hand. I say, "Sandy, I'm sorry, man. I wish I could take it back."
Maybe that's why he went into seclusion, because he gave up a home run to you.
I mean, it was bad, Dan. I'd order bats, and order of bats. They'd come with a handle at each end. If I ordered flame treated, they'd send a box of ashes. I mean, it was bad, but I made the most of it.
When Carson called you Mr. Baseball, what did that do for you, confidence-wise?
Well, Johnny and I had a great relationship. He treated me so unbelievably well. I'll tell you a true story. The first show I did in New York, it was in like 1969 or 70, right before they moved to L.A., and after the show was over, they shake hands, everybody shakes hands, and I shook hands with him, and he walked over to Ed McMahon, and he said, "Did that guy really play baseball?" So, I went back 3 weeks later to do another show, and then I used to do like 4 shows a year, and we became good friends, and later on never used a script, just go on there and shoot the breeze. It was fun. I had a great time with him, and he treated me unbelievably well.
Who's the guy that you listen to or would want to listen to a play-by-play in baseball?
Well, we had Earl Gillespie here for a long time with the Braves back in the 50s and 60s, and I tell you, a guy that I really enjoyed listening to and was a good friend of mine, too, was Harry Carey. I like Jack Buck. I mean, those guys, Ernie Harwell, they were all good friends. And Vin Scully, of course, who is considered by everybody to be the top dog. And I talk with Vinny every chance I get. We visit with each other. He's a great guy, too. That's the thing. That's the other apology I made to him, too. I was sorry you had to broadcast some of my games, but, here I am. I'm still around, so there's nothing you can do about it.
Is it okay to drink in the booth?
Oh, yeah. I'll have maybe 6 to 8 cold ones before I go on.
I went in the booth with Harry Carey, and I nearly kicked over his cooler. He got mad at me. It's the only time he raised his voice, and it's because I nearly kicked over the cooler. And
when I first started here with Merle Harmon was such a great guy, straight guy, and everything else. I used to take my clothes off. I'd walk in the booth with no clothes on. He'd be on the air, and I'd walk in and sit down next to him. I mean, I did that. I did all that weird stuff, just for laughs. I mean, it was funny.
So you'd walk in naked?
Not naked. I was. It wasn't my gum card, I can tell you that.
I can just. Would you have jockstrap on, underwear on?
They were okay. It was a thong. I don't care.
Well, Bob, good to visit with you. Congrats on the statue. Many more years of broadcasting.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, great Bob Uecker.